The alley, the human, and the knife. The night was cold. Sharp wind moved through the dark alley, making old metal signs rattle. The streetlights were broken, and the ground was wet from a recent rain. This was not a place for good people. Behind a pile of trash, a shadow moved. Small, quick, and careful. Her name was Zeri, an alien girl, maybe 19 in human years. Her skin was light blue, with dark marks under her eyes. Her hands were shaking as she held a small rusty knife she hadn't eaten in 2 days. Just one hit, she whispered to herself. One wallet, and I'll be gone. She had done this before. Pickpocketing, stealing, running. But never something this direct. Never with a knife. But tonight, she was desperate. Her sharp eyes spotted someone. A human man, walking alone. He looked calm, tall, strong, with short brown hair and a black coat that moved with the wind. His hands were in his pockets. He didn't seem afraid. He's perfect, she thought. Just walk up, threaten him, take his credits and leave. Zeri waited until he was close, then stepped out of the shadows. She pointed the knife toward him, trying to make her voice sound strong. Stop. Give me your money. The man stopped walking. He didn't raise his hands. He didn't look scared. He just looked at her, quiet, calm, like he had seen this 1,000 times before. You don't want to do this, he said. His voice was deep and gentle. Not angry, not afraid. Zeri's hand trembled. I said give it to me. Now. The man took one slow step forward. Zeri flinched and pressed the knife forward. It touched his coat. Then something strange happened. He grabbed her wrist with lightning speed. Before she could blink, the knife was gone. She was pushed against the wall, not hard, but strong enough to stop her. Who are you? He asked softly. Zeri's heart pounded. Let me go. The man looked into her eyes for a long second. Then, slowly, he let go. She didn't wait. She ran. Through the alley, over trash cans, past broken doors. Her breath came in short gasps. She didn't look back. She just wanted to disappear. But as she turned a corner, she heard something. A soft cry. Not hers. Not human. She stopped. There, hidden behind an old dumpster, was a shape. Small. Weak. Zeri moved closer, carefully. An alien woman, older, lay on the ground. Her body was thin and weak. Her face was pale. She held a tiny bundle in her arms. A baby. The baby was crying. The mother looked at Zeri with tired eyes. Please, the woman whispered. Please, take her. Zeri froze. What? No, I'm not. I can't. Please, the mother coughed. They will find her. I can't run anymore. Who's coming? The woman didn't answer. Her hand slowly reached out, placing the baby in Zeri's arms. Zeri looked down. The baby was small, wrapped in a torn blanket. Her skin was soft purple. 2 small antennae moved on her head. Her big eyes opened and looked straight at Zeri. Zeri felt her chest tighten. She hadn't held a baby in years. Not since her little brother, back when she still had a home. I don't. Behind her, footsteps echoed. Slow, heavy. Zeri turned. The man from before stood at the alley's entrance. He saw the baby in her arms. He saw the dying mother. But he didn't speak. He walked over, knelt beside the woman, and touched her shoulder. She needs help, he said. The woman nodded weakly. She's special. They want her. Zeri stared at the man. You're not going to call the patrol. He shook his head. No, they wouldn't help. Not for her kind. So what now? He looked at her, not with hate, not with fear, just calm. We take care of the baby, together. Zeri blinked. Why would you trust me? I tried to rob you. He gave a small smile. You didn't hurt me, and you didn't leave her behind. Zeri looked down at the baby, still crying softly. The night felt colder. But for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel alone. A strange bond begins. The baby didn't stop crying. Zeri tried to hold her carefully, but her arms were stiff. The child was light, but something about her made Zeri's heart feel heavy. She had held stolen goods before, weapons, credits, food. But this was a life. The man was still there, quiet, watching. His name was Jackson. He hadn't said much, only helped the alien mother rest against the cold wall. She wasn't dead, but she was close. Her breathing was shallow, and her eyes opened only once before rolling back again. Jackson stood and looked around the alley. "We can't stay here," he said. "They'll find us." "Who's they?" Zeri asked. Jackson didn't answer. Instead, he opened his coat and pulled out a small cube. It blinked red and green. He pressed a button and a hologram popped up, 3 dark dots moving across a digital map. "Drones," he whispered. "They're scanning for heat and sound. We have maybe 6 minutes." Zeri's eyes widened. "You knew she was being hunted." "I knew something was wrong," he said, but now unsure. "Why are they after her, baby?" Jackson didn't reply. Instead, he turned to the dying mother and knelt beside her. "What's inside her?" he asked softly. The mother moved her lips, but no sound came. Only one word escaped before she passed out again. "Key." Zeri stepped back. "Key to what?" Jackson looked up, serious now. "That baby is not just a child. She's something more. Something dangerous or powerful. Maybe both." The baby stopped crying. Her tiny eyes opened again. And for a moment, Zeri saw them change color. From purple to white, then back. "We have to move," Jackson said. Zeri hesitated. "I don't even know who you are." "Doesn't matter right now." "It does to me." He stood tall and looked directly at her. "Fine. I was a soldier. I worked with alien refugees during the border wars. I've seen this kind of thing before. Children used as tools. As weapons. If the wrong people find her, they'll tear her apart." Zeri went silent. "And you?" Jackson asked. "What's your name?" "Zeri." He nodded once. "Okay, Zari. Come with me. Or leave. But if you stay, you help me protect that baby." Before Zeri could answer, the air above the alley buzzed. A red light passed over them. A drone. Jackson grabbed Zeri's hand and pulled her down behind the dumpster. The red light stopped moving. It hovered. Jackson pulled out a black device from his belt and aimed it at the drone. He tapped a sequence fast. Blue sparks flew. The drone flickered, then fell, crashed into the street with a loud metal clatter. Zeri stared. "What was that?" "Old rebel tech," he said. "I hacked its feed. Bought us 20 seconds. Move." They ran. Fast. No time for questions now. Jackson led the way, turning corners like he knew the streets by heart. Zeri followed, clutching the baby to her chest. They entered a broken door that led into an old warehouse. Jackson kicked away a few crates, opened a panel in the floor, and pulled her down into the dark. It was a tunnel. Damp. Narrow. Smelled like rust and oil. They walked for minutes. Every sound echoed. Finally, they reached a small room under the ground. Metal walls, old lights, a table, a bed, a few supplies. Safe. For now. Zeri placed the baby on the bed. The child was quiet now, staring at the ceiling like she could see something no one else could. Jackson locked the door. "We're out of sight." For the moment. Zeri turned to him. "Why are you doing this?" He looked tired. "Because no one else will." "You don't even know her." "Neither do you," he said. "Yet you're still here." Zeri looked away. Her fingers were still shaking. "She's different," Jackson continued. "Her energy isn't natural. I've seen similar cases. Experimental programs. Alien tech fused with biology. You think she's a weapon? Maybe. maybe something more. Just then, the lights flickered. The baby made a soft noise. Her tiny hand rose in the air, and one of the lights shattered. What was that? Jackson stepped forward, watching her closely. She's waking up. Zeri whispered, "What if she's too strong?" "Then we teach her right and wrong," he replied. Suddenly, a loud sound echoed through the tunnel above them. Metal scraping, followed by a voice on a speaker. "We know you're there. Give us the child, and you walk free." Zeri's blood turned cold. She looked at Jackson. "You said we were safe." "They tracked the drone." "Damn it." Jackson picked up a gun. "We hold them off." Zeri stood still. Her hands moved toward the baby. "Or," she whispered, "we run." Jackson shook his head. Not enough time. They looked at each other, fear in their eyes, but something else, too. A choice. Fight or escape. And in the middle of it all, a baby who might save the galaxy. Or destroy it. They hunt in shadows. The tunnel walls were shaking. Zeri held the baby tightly as dust rained down from the ceiling. The soft cries of the child were almost lost beneath the heavy, grinding sound above them. Machines moving. Footsteps. Something was drilling through the metal. "They're not just soldiers," Jackson said, loading his weapon. "They brought diggers. Scanners. They want her now." Zeri's voice was low. "We can't fight all that." Jackson looked at her, his eyes steady. "No, but we can buy time." Before Zeri could reply, a sharp hum filled the tunnel. It wasn't a sound made by machines. It was coming from the baby. She looked down. The baby's body glowed faint blue. Her small hands were lifted in the air, her eyes wide open. And the air around her, it was vibrating. "Jackson," Zeri said, backing away. "What is she doing?" He knelt beside the child, staring in shock. "She's calling something." Then, everything stopped. The drill sounds, the footsteps, even the dust in the air seemed frozen. For 1 second, the entire world held its breath. And then a loud crack split the wall beside them. A metal claw tore through. Zeri screamed, pulling the baby close. Jackson jumped forward, shooting twice. Sparks flew, but the machine didn't stop. "Out the back tunnel," he shouted. "Go, now." Zeri didn't hesitate. She ran, following a narrow pipe-lit path that curved like a snake. The baby pressed against her chest, now silent, watching everything. Behind her, the fight continued. Jackson shouted. Metal crashed, shots fired. She kept running. Her legs burned, her breath was short, but she didn't stop. Then, another sound. Not from behind, from the side. A long, low growl. She slowed down, confused. The tunnel was splitting into 2 paths, and on the left, in the darkness, 2 red eyes appeared. They blinked and stepped forward. Not human, not machine. An alien hunter. Its skin was silver, sharp. Its body was tall, bent forward, built to move fast. It didn't speak. It just opened its claws. Zeri turned and sprinted right. The hunter followed. She could hear its steps, fast, quiet, like death walking. "Jackson," she screamed. "Where are you?" No answer. Just the sound of the hunter. Closer, closer. She turned again, diving into a side vent, barely fitting with the baby in her arms. The metal scratched her skin, but she didn't stop. She crawled, fast as she could. The baby made a sound. Not fear, but something deeper. A hum, a pulse. Suddenly, the walls around them lit up. Alien symbols. They moved, changed, glowed. Zeri froze. The baby touched one of the lights with her finger, and the wall opened. A hidden door. Beyond it, a room. Clean, silent, warm light. A forgotten lab. Zeri stepped inside. The door closed behind them. The hunter was gone. For now. She looked around. Old alien tech covered the walls. Floating screens, crystal tubes, and in the center, a round platform, glowing the same color as the baby's skin. "What is this place?" she whispered. A screen lit up. A voice spoke, soft and slow. "Welcome, caretaker. The hair has returned." Zeri stared at the baby. "Your royalty." The baby blinked. Behind her, something moved. Zeri spun around. Jackson stumbled through the wall, covered in cuts, breathing hard. "You're alive," Zeri said, rushing to him. "Barely," he replied. "What is this place?" She pointed. "I think it's hers." Jackson walked to the center platform. He touched one of the panels. Files appeared. Data, history, warnings. "She's a seed," he whispered. "The last of a lost race. They put all their knowledge in her, all their power. She's not just a baby. She's a living archive." Zeri stepped back, holding the child tighter. "What do we do now?" Jackson looked at her. "We keep running. But now we know why they're after her. Because she's valuable. Because she could change everything." Suddenly, the lab lights blinked red. The voice returned. "Danger. Breach detected. Exit required." Jackson grabbed a small cube from the wall. "This has a map and data we need. If they find this room, they'll destroy it." Zeri nodded. "Let's go." But as they turned to leave, the wall behind them exploded. The hunter was back. But now it wasn't alone. 3 others stepped out behind it. More machines, more hunters, more death. Jackson raised his weapon. Zeri held the baby close, ready to run. But the baby lifted her hand again, and everything froze. Not in fear, in time. The hunters stopped moving. Even the air became still. The baby's eyes glowed white. And for 1 second, Jackson and Zeri understood. She wasn't just a key. She was a reset button. The thief's past and the human's truth. Everything stood still. The machines, the hunters, even the dust in the air, frozen like statues. Zeri didn't move. Jackson didn't breathe. The baby, small and glowing in Zeri's arms, had lifted her hand. And reality had bent around her. Jackson whispered. She stopped time. Zeri looked down at the child, her heart racing. "How?" "I don't know," he said, "but whatever she is, she's more than anyone imagined." After a few seconds, the glow faded. The air moved again. The hunters collapsed, systems fried. Time resumed. And just like that, they were alone in the lab once more. They left in silence, following a map from the cube Jackson had taken. It led them through ancient tunnels long forgotten by humans and aliens alike. As they walked, Zeri stayed close to the baby, watching every blink, every breath. Jackson walked a little ahead, gun ready, but his mind was far away. "We need to talk," Zeri finally said. He nodded. "Yeah." They reached a hidden underground chamber, safe for now. The roof was half collapsed, and the air smelled like old stone and metal, but it was quiet. No footsteps, no machines. Jackson sat down, back against a wall. His face was tired, older than it looked before. Zeri placed the baby on a blanket. The child slept peacefully, unaware of the war chasing her. "You said you were a soldier," Zeri said. Jackson nodded. "I was. But that's not all, is it?" He looked at her, and then he told the truth. 5 years ago, he began, I was part of a secret human task unit. We were told to track alien tech, contain threats, and erase evidence. "You killed people?" Zeri asked, voice sharp. "Yes. And no, not at first. But later, we were ordered to remove anyone who refused to cooperate, even children, even mothers." His voice broke for a second. "I followed orders. Until one mission, we found a group hiding in a broken station, mostly families, among them, a scientist. She held a baby in her arms. This baby. Zuri blinked. Wait, this baby. Yes. She begged us not to take her. Said the child held the last piece of her people's knowledge. Their future. But our commander didn't care. He ordered me to shoot. Did you? Jackson shook his head. I couldn't. I turned my weapon on the commander instead. Helped the mother escape. She vanished. I've been hiding ever since. Zuri sat in silence. Everything inside her felt twisted, confused, heavy. So you were one of them, the ones who destroyed refugee camps, who burned down shelters. He nodded slowly. And now you want to be a hero? She asked bitterly. No, he replied. I just want to fix what I helped break. Zuri looked away. Her jaw clenched. You don't know what it's like, she said. My parents were taken in a raid. I was 12. I watched them burn. I watched my brother get dragged into a patrol van. I never saw him again. Jackson didn't speak. Zuri stood, pacing now, her fists tight. I became a thief because that's all there was. No one hires aliens. No one feeds us. Stealing was the only way to survive. Her voice cracked. And now you show up, acting like you care. Jackson stood too, but slowly. I do care. Because I was part of the system that broke your life. I can't erase that. But I can protect this child. We both can. She stared at him, then at the baby. And for a moment, all anger faded. Because the child was smiling in her sleep. Peaceful. Like the galaxy wasn't tearing itself apart outside. Jackson pulled out the cube again. The map now showed blinking red lights. They're closing in, he said. 2 squads. One from the north. One from the old metro tunnels. How much time? An hour, maybe less. Zuri looked down. Can't we just give her to someone? Someone who can hide her better. Jackson shook his head. They don't want her protected. They want her erased. Why? He tapped the cube again. New files appeared, images, data, history. Because she's the last carrier of the Elysium Protocol. A code left by her people. It can rewrite digital systems, override weapons, even stop planetary shields. She's a walking key. To peace or destruction. Zuri whispered, if they get her, they'll control everything. The chamber lights flickered. And then a soft voice came from the cube. Life form detected. Unknown signal. Alert level. Black. Zuri and Jackson froze. The baby opened her eyes. And from the shadows, something answered. A low growl. Not machine. Not hunter. But something worse. A new kind of enemy had entered the game. Betrayal under the city, the growl came again. Deep. Wet. Unnatural. Jackson raised his weapon slowly. Zuri pulled the baby closer, stepping back against the wall of the broken chamber. Her heart beat faster with each second. From the dark tunnel, it stepped forward. It wasn't like the hunters from before. It wasn't machine. It was flesh and hate. Its body was tall and covered in rough skin, black and slick like oil. No eyes, only a mouth, wide, sharp, and dripping with acid. Zuri whispered, "What is that?" Jackson's voice was tight. "Not possible. That's a void creep. They were wiped out years ago." The creature snarled, sniffing the air. It wasn't here to search. It was here to kill. Jackson fired first. 3 blasts of plasma hit its chest. Nothing. The creature lunged. Jackson grabbed Zuri and pushed her through a side tunnel, barely dodging the creature's claws. It roared, and the ground trembled. "Move," Jackson shouted. "Keep the baby safe." They ran through the tunnel, jumping over debris, turning fast corners, deeper into the city's forgotten underbelly. 20 minutes later, they collapsed in an old rail station. Quiet, damp, broken, but safe for now. Zuri leaned against a rusted pillar, breathing hard. The baby was silent, eyes wide open, glowing softly. Jackson sat nearby, shaking. That thing, it shouldn't be alive. It means someone's using old dark biotech, illegal stuff. Zeri's mind was spinning. Nothing made sense anymore. Machines, alien assassins, and now monsters made of flesh and fear. She needed answers, and she knew where to get them. I know someone, Zeri said finally, deep in the Undercity. He used to run black market info deals. If anyone knows who's behind this, he will. Jackson looked at her. Can he be trusted? Zeri didn't answer. The journey to the Undercity took hours. They moved through half-collapsed streets, jumped past dead transit lines, and past sleeping scavengers who looked barely human. Finally, they reached a metal hatch hidden behind an old power station. Zeri knocked in a pattern. Waited. A small screen blinked on. A face appeared. Well, well, the voice said. Zeri the ghost. Didn't think you'd crawl back here. I need information, she said. The man laughed. Information isn't free. I brought something better than credits. She turned the screen toward the baby. The man's face changed. Bring her in. His name was Dale. Tall, bald, cybernetic eye that buzzed every few seconds. He lived deep in a hidden bunker under the old city, filled with stolen tech and glowing wires. He offered them tea. No one drank. Jackson stayed near the door, tense. Dale studied the baby. I've heard whispers, he said, about a child, a seed, a key. Didn't think it was real. Who's hunting her? Zeri asked. Everyone, he said, but mostly the Circle. Jackson's eyes narrowed. I thought the Circle was gone. Dale smiled. You're out of touch, soldier boy. They're back, and stronger than ever. They control the data lines, the bounty boards, even the Federation Council. And now, they want her. Zeri stepped forward. Why? Dale leaned in. Because she can unlock the vault. What vault? The one that holds the command codes to every major defense system in the galaxy. Orbitals, drones, fleets. If they get her, they win everything. Jackson whispered, they'll rule the stars. Zeri looked down at the baby. She looked so small, so innocent. You need to leave the planet, Dale said. I can get you a ship. For a price. Jackson didn't trust it. What's the catch? No catch, Dale smiled. You help me with one small job. Deliver a box to someone. Simple. Zeri stared at him. Why are you helping me? He looked at her for a long moment. Because I owe your brother. Zeri froze. You knew my brother. He worked with me. He died saving my life. Her hands trembled. You never told me. You were young and angry. You wouldn't have listened. Zeri turned away, holding back tears. Jackson whispered to her, this feels wrong. But she shook her head. He helped my brother. He deserves a chance. Later that night, they stayed in Dale's bunker. Jackson stood guard. Zeri tried to rest, baby sleeping in her arms. But something felt off. Her skin tingled. Her instincts screamed. She woke up and checked her pack. The data cube was gone. Jackson was gone too. But before she could panic, Dale appeared at the door, with 5 armed mercs. His smile was cold. Sorry, Zeri, he said, but 100 million credits is too good to pass up. You lied to me. No, he said. I used you, like you always used others. Jackson's voice came from behind. Let her go. He was back, gun drawn, wounded, bleeding. Dale laughed. You're too late. The mercs aimed. Jackson stepped forward. You'll have to go through me. Dale raised a hand. Gladly. But before anyone fired, the baby opened her eyes. Everything went white. And then, the walls exploded. The baby's power awakens. Light swallowed everything. Not normal light. This was ancient, pure, alive. Zeri felt her skin tingle. Her mind slowed down. For a moment, it was like time had no meaning. She wasn't in Dale's bunker anymore. She was somewhere else, floating in white silence. A voice echoed inside her. Not in words, in feelings. Kindness, warning, hope. And then she fell, back into the world. The explosion had blown out every wall in the bunker. Smoke filled the air. Metal rained down like shards of a broken planet. Dale's mercs were gone. Not dead, just vanished. Jackson lay on the ground, his arm bleeding badly, but alive. And in the center of the room stood the baby. She wasn't a baby anymore. Her body still looked small, fragile, but her eyes were glowing like suns. Symbols danced around her in the air, shifting and burning. Ancient writing from a language long lost. Zeri stumbled to her feet. What happened? Jackson tried to speak, but coughed. The baby turned to Zari and spoke. You are her, she said, the one chosen. Her voice was clear, not like a child, not like any living creature. Zeri froze. You can talk. Not always, the child said, but the seal is broken. The vault is open. And now, I remember. Jackson sat up, staring in disbelief. Who are you? The baby. No, the girl smiled softly. My name was lost when my people fell, but they called me Elysia, the seed of peace. Zeri walked closer. Why now? Why reveal all this? Elysia's glowing eyes turned sad. Because they are coming. Not just hunters. Not just mercs. The circle has awakened the deep code. They are building the final gate. When it opens, they will rewrite life itself. Jackson looked pale. You mean, they're going to reset every system, every law, every planet? Yes, Elysia said, unless I stop them. Zeri whispered, how? Elysia raised her hands. Holograms bloomed in the air. Maps, stars, warships, and a location, the cradle. Jackson stood. That's the center of the old network. Before the Federation. Before anything. The cradle is the core, Elysia said. It was made to bring peace, but now it has been corrupted, twisted by fear. Zeri shook her head. You're still just a child. How can you stop all that? Because I am not alone, she said, turning to her. You are my bond, and he is my shield. Jackson blinked. Me. Elysia nodded. You broke your chains. She broke her anger. Together, you gave me time to grow. Now, we must finish what was started. They didn't wait. There was no time. With Jackson's help, Elysia used what remained of Dale's tech to open a portal, an old alien jump gate hidden beneath the city. But the way was not free. As they entered the gate chamber, alarms screamed. A voice echoed in the darkness. Don't take another step. Dale. He was alive. Burned. Twisted. But alive. One side of his face was metal now. Wires hanging from his arm. You ruined everything, he growled. Do you know what they promised me? Power. Immortality. And you took it all. Jackson raised his gun. You're done. Dale laughed. You think I came alone? From behind the walls, black armored soldiers appeared. The real circle. Silent. Deadly. Zeri stepped forward, shielding Elysia. We'll never give her to you. You won't have a choice, Dale hissed. He pressed a button, and from the floor, a giant machine rose, taller than a building. Eyes burning red, voice deep like thunder. Target. Elysia. Capture or terminate. The gate behind them flickered, fading. Jackson fired first. Zeri ran with Elysia, dodging laser blasts and falling metal. The gate was closing fast. They had seconds. Elysia stopped. She turned to face the machine and spoke in the ancient tongue. The room changed. Symbols rose from the floor. Machines froze. Soldiers screamed. Zeri grabbed her arm. "What are you doing?" "Ending it." "No, don't." Elysia smiled. "Trust me." She touched Zeri's forehead. A light entered her mind. Memories, feelings, everything. And then, they were gone. They landed on the other side of the gate, just before it shut behind them. The sky above was purple. Strange stars moved slowly. And in the distance, a tower made of light. The cradle. Jackson coughed, dropping to his knees. "We made it." Zeri looked at Elysia, tears in her eyes. "Are you okay?" Elysia looked tired, pale. "One last step," she said. "One last choice." Jackson looked around. "We need to move. They'll follow." Zeri took Elysia's hand. "Then let's finish this, together." And behind them, the stars began to shake. Because war was coming, and the galaxy was watching. The price of protection. The cradle stood ahead. A tower made of light, pulsing with power older than memory. It rose from a field of crystal ground, surrounded by floating stones and broken remains of long-dead civilizations. No ships in the sky. No voices in the wind. Only silence. But it was the kind of silence that hides something big. Zeri looked up at the glowing spire. "Is this really it?" Elysia nodded. Her eyes were dim now, her steps slower. "This is where it ends, or begins again." Jackson placed a hand on her shoulder. "You don't look well." "I'm burning," she said softly. "My core is waking fully. If we wait too long, I will lose control." Zeri turned to Jackson. "What does that mean?" "It means," he said quietly, "that she's the weapon and the trigger." They walked forward, through the open gate of the cradle. Inside, the walls hummed with power. Glowing veins ran across the floors. Shapes and machines floated in the air, alive, watching. A deep voice greeted them. "You have returned." A figure appeared. Not human, not alien. Something in between. A guardian. Tall, silver, eyes like black mirrors. "The seed stands before me," it said. "Do you bring war or peace?" Elysia stepped forward. "I bring choice." "Choice," the guardian said, "has a price." The chamber shook. From behind, the sound of engines. Ships dropping from orbit. Dark, round, hungry. The circle had arrived. They came not with words, only weapons. Missiles struck the cradle. Energy shields flared. The tower groaned, but held strong. Zeri pulled Elysia behind a column. "What do we do?" Elysia's voice was calm. "They're trying to force the vault open. If they reach the heart of the cradle, they'll take control of everything." Jackson cursed. "We stop them, no matter what it takes." He turned, running toward the upper platform, firing as circle soldiers broke through the side walls. Zeri stayed close to Elysia, moving her deeper into the core. They reached a chamber filled with stars. Not real stars, but memories, each one glowing, each one a life, a planet, a dream. Elysia pointed to a pedestal in the center. "Place me there," she said. "Once I bond, the system will reset. Freedom will return to the galaxy." "But," Zeri's hands shook. "But what?" "I will burn away," Elysia said. "There will be no me left, only light." Zeri backed away. "No, there has to be another way." Elysia stepped forward. "This is the way." Jackson's voice echoed from above. "They're in the tower. Go now." Zeri's eyes filled with tears. "You saved us. You changed us. There has to be something more." Elysia smiled. "There is." She reached out, touched Zeri's chest. A symbol lit up. Zeri felt a spark deep inside. "You carry part of me now," Elysia whispered. "My memory, my will." Soldiers crashed into the chamber. Shots fired. Jackson jumped down, landing hard. "Now, Zeri." With tears streaming down her face, Zeri lifted Elysia onto the pedestal. Light exploded. Not out, but in. The cradle shook. The machines screamed. The Circle's weapons died in their hands. The ships in orbit shut down. Codes rewrote themselves. Governments collapsed. Chains broke. And in the middle of it all, Elysia closed her eyes and let go. When the light faded, the cradle was silent again. The soldiers were gone. The war had ended. But the pedestal was empty. Zeri dropped to her knees. Jackson knelt beside her, placing a hand on her back. "She did it," he said. Zeri wiped her tears. "We didn't protect her. She protected us." Weeks later, the galaxy began to change. Walls fell. Truths came out. Systems reformed. And in the quiet corners of forgotten worlds, people spoke of a glowing child who burned like a star. Zeri returned to the Undercity, not as a thief, but as a voice, a leader. She carried Elysia's mark on her skin now, a soft, glowing pattern that pulsed when she touched others. She told her story to children who had lost their families, to mothers who had no hope, to broken fighters who wanted peace, and everywhere she went, the world listened. Jackson disappeared after the war. Some said he went back to the stars. Others believed he found a new home far away. But Zeri knew better. He was still out there, watching, protecting, because some fires never die, and Elysia's light lived on, not in machines, not in weapons, but in people, the ones brave enough to care, and strong enough to choose.